This is the control panel of the Vesuvis stock. I just thought I'd show you quickly how it works. I've got the steam boiler off at the moment. If I want to turn it on, I can simply press that button, press that, and she'll come on. Yep. Or I can turn it off, because I don't normally run with it on. So the steam boiler's now off. This is the brew boiler, set to 98. With a small offset to allow for the temperature loss as the water goes to the group. And of course, I need to keep that on. But if I wanted to, I could actually turn that boiler off and just leave the group cartridges, keeping the group hot, and then switch that back on when I need to make a coffee, if I wanted to do that. And here are the group cartridges, which again I can turn off or I can turn on and change the temperature going up or down. Now, I don't exactly know what the temperature is because I've got no real way of measuring it as accurately as I'd like. But what I do know is because of the dual boiler design and the independent group cartridges, I can pull my shot hotter in half-degree increments or cooler in half-degree increments, which is what's really important. If I feel a shot needs to get a little bit hotter, I just bump up the temperature of the group. If I want it a little bit colder, I do the same. Then there's a menu here, which is on or off and changes it to centigrade or Fahrenheit. So if I change to Fahrenheit and go back, I can do my group temperature in Fahrenheit. It still obviously shows me in degrees because internally it's working in centigrade. It's just displaying in Fahrenheit. Let's take it back, put it back to centigrade. So that is how you do that. You can turn the system off. I can't remember. I think it's 2 fingers. If I've got it right. That turns it off. If I want to get into the parameters setting, 2 fingers. And you have to wait. And now we're in parameters setting, or advanced menu if you like, number of groups, the PID settings, offsets for coffee, steam, all the PID settings for those functions. So you've got everything you need access to, and then switch it back on and we're heating up again. So that really is just an overview of the very, very, very simple touch panel on the Vesuvis stock. And obviously this is a plastic project box stuck on the front because the metal hasn't been cut out to inset this, so only the panel shows through a small window in the case. This is the La San Marco lever group. It's 53 millimeters. It's a double spring professional configuration, not the single spring prosumer configuration. At the back here is the water valve, and it's actuated by a cam in the lever. So as you pull the lever down, it presses down here, opens a valve chamber in the group and fills the group with water. Below this, the group has been customized with a manometer. So you can see where 10 bar is up here, and then 8, and then 6 bar. So that's in 2 bar increments, and that's very useful because you can see the pressure in the group, and you can actually pull down the lever, retard the lever a little bit if you want to get to a slightly lower pressure, or assist the lever if you want a bit more pressure at any time in the extraction. That's sort of really advanced usage of the machine, but you can actually do it because you can actually see what pressure is being developed. Shot, when you first pull the lever down, will come up to about 10.2 bar, and then progressively start to reduce to round about 7-ish bar, maybe a little less, and by that time the lever's reached the top of its travel. Now you'll still see coffee coming out, but you'll see the manometer very quickly dropping. It'll look like it's okay, but actually it's the rubbish coming out because the main extraction pressure has stopped and the manometer's dropped to virtually 0. The reason to have the double spring configuration is because it gives you a higher range of pressures that don't drop off as fast, And that's the professional setup that was actually designed for these lever groups. This is how they're designed to work. It does mean a considerable extra lever force. It's very easy to pull down a single spring lever. It's much harder to pull down the lever on a professional configuration. However, it's well worth it, and all it means is that when doing so, you've got to keep your arm and your shoulder and your thumb in line and pull down straight and just use a little bit more force. Like I say, well worth the effort. Now, in the Vesuvius, this is an old case. This is a test bed only. It's an old case. It's not got any structural bracing. In fact, it's not got the same bracing as a more modern Vesuvius case, which is made in a slightly different way. But even so, the case is immensely strong. It's a sort of space frame type construction where it's not using square tube or anything like that, square stock. It's actually using like a space frame. So there is some spring along the length of the machine because it's only got little feet at the front there and big feet at the back. Obviously this is a test bed. But even so, if I pull the lever down, yeah, it's pretty good. So, and it never feels unstable, it never feels like it's about to tip up, never feels like it's going to slide along the counter, but then it is pretty heavy, so all those things would be pretty unlikely. There are weights in it, apparently. I'll be honest, I'm not sure the weights are needed inside the machine. I've a feeling that I could possibly, if they're removable, I might try removing some, because there is, once the machine, you know, there's absolutely no tendency, as I pull it, for that machine to try and tip in the slightest. You know, absolutely stable. I mean, Paolo did supply extra feet. He supplied a set of feet to go in where the transit bolts, the transit feet usually go, where you don't normally fit feet. So you got 4 at the back and 2 at the front. But whether they were too long or whatever, as the case squats down slightly, it tends to sit on those feet, and then you get like a seesaw motion, which was terrible. And I took those out because he wanted me just to try them, but it didn't seem a good idea the way they were done. Maybe they'll find a way of putting extra feet in on a production model, but I'll be honest, I don't think it's needed. I think stick to the 4 feet, and then what you get is a nice, stable machine that you can pull down. I was also aware that in the videos I wasn't pulling the lever in line because I was trying to be out of the view of the camera, and you've got a large flat surface, so the movement probably looks much worse than it is, and of course if you pull at an angle it'll go down towards one corner. So I'm going to try and pull in a straight line. I'm just going to move the camera a bit so I can pull this lever in a straight line as you would normally do, because there's quite a bit of spring force. So here's the lever all the way down, and here's the lever going back up, and I'll pull it down again in a straight line and all the way up, and the machine has absolutely no tendency to lift. It's not trying to tip over. It'll squat down here because of the way this drip tray is attached separately, tries to bend up at that point. And also this drip tray and frame is a very old design. The new frame is much more rigid on a Vesuvius than this, but even so, this is perfectly good. Oh, about pulled myself a morning shot. Let's move this slightly to the side. Moving down to 9 bar. This is 37 grams out from 17 grams in. The coffee is doTERRA Sweet Blue. It was roasted 40 days ago on the 1st of January. I think it was the 1st of January. I'm just going to check. So I've got the rest of the bag in the fridge here. Yeah, it was roasted on the 1st of January and it's now the 14th of February. So roasted 44 days ago. But yeah, it produced a very nice shot out of the doTERRA Sweet Blue. It comes out very good indeed. I've been asked to make a video of the EVO stock with the pressure gauge when doing an espresso shot so you can see what's happening. I'm going to try and read out the weights as I go. I'll sort of try and give you a reading on weight. It's a little bit tricky, but I'll do my best. Okay, so I'm going to put the shot glass there, zero the scales, try not to hit the camera with the lever as I pull it down, and I'll try and read off what's on the scales, and you can watch the pressure gauge and obviously check the time. So let's do that. Let's get everything ready. Okay, let's go. So pulling down, getting a 2-bar infusion. The pump will run until it gets close to 2 bar. Well, it's about 1.8. So I'll wait for a few drips, let the lever up, and you can see it goes down to about 10.3 bars, something like that. And the pressure's dropping. We're at 8 grams, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, not 20, 21, 23. I'm going to end it about 35 grams. 30 grams. There we go, 35 grams. Get the rubbish out into the tray. And now you see the pressure drop away pretty rapidly as the lever reaches the top of its travel. This is the profile of a professional configuration on the La San Marco group using a double spring, and that's what the shot looks like. And what I'm going to do now is enjoy the espresso. Even though it's late, produces an extremely good shot. If I redo the exposure because I've locked it on the gauge, that's a more accurate colour, but it's an excellent espresso. Really does produce a lovely sweet shot. So I hope that was interesting, and that's the sort of profile professionally set up double spring levers actually produce. And if you've ever had the espresso in a cafe and thought, wow, this is wonderful, off the spring lever, it will have been in the double spring configuration.